Both Kenpachi Zaraki and Monkey D. Luffy have had their new forms revealed in their respective anime recently, so I have decided to pit these two characters against each other in a versus match to see just how they stack up against each other. Will Kenpachi prove himself as the strongest Soul Reaper? Or will Luffy show he deserves the title of King of the Pirates? Currently, Luffy's strongest move is his giant punch in Gear 5 that's the size of a small island. Interestingly enough, Kenpachi's best feat is destroying a giant meteor that seems somewhat comparable to Luffy's hand. Luffy of course enhances his durability with armament haki, so the durability of his fist should be greater than that of any normal meteor. So this does not necessarily mean Kenpachi will cleave through Luffy's hand in the same way. The meteor was supposedly going to destroy the Serite though, and the Serite was stated to take 40 days to walk around, which should make it comparable to a good-sized country, despite the visuals making it seem more like the size of a city. Another direct comparison is when in the One Piece Stampede movie, Zoro cut a giant meteor in half. That meteor definitely looked smaller than the one Kenpachi cut in half, and Zoro failed at completely destroying it. So if you count the movie, even though it technically isn't canon, this would directly scale Kenpachi over that version of Zoro. Mihawk did step in and casually destroy what was left of the meteor, and Gear 5 Luffy is likely much closer to Mihawk's strength than that Zoro, so meteors of that size should be no problem for Gear 5 Luffy. The meteor Kenpachi destroyed would definitely be more of a challenge, but I do believe Luffy would be able to overcome it. The thing is, Luffy would probably need his strongest attack to do it, or possibly multiple, while Kenpachi obliterated it with a single regular swing. Let's not forget Kenpachi still had his eye patch on, which constantly eats his spiritual pressure, making him weaker, just because he likes to be challenged. So when it comes to attack potency, I have to give it to Kenpachi. Durability-wise, Kenpachi managed to survive what was essentially multiple nukes going off point blank on him, and temporarily survived the vacuum of space. Both of those attacks took a toll on him, and characters much weaker than both him or Luffy ended up embarrassing him. Luffy, on the other hand, took multiple of Kaido's blast breaths which could melt mountains, and haki-infused club smacks that should all hit with greater force than a nuke. Luffy's rubber body also makes him resistant to blunt force trauma, so overall I would give Luffy the durability edge. However, Kenpachi doesn't really use blunt force attacks. His main weapon is his Zanpakuto, and Luffy's Devil Fruit doesn't protect him against cutting weapons. His only means of defense is his armament haki. But Kenpachi said he could cut through anything. That was likely just him hyping himself up, but he cut through space itself, so I'm not sure Luffy's haki can save him. With Gear 5, Luffy gains cartoonish-like powers and can turn his surroundings to rubber, so maybe that could save him. But cutting through space itself could arguably counter that. This makes speed a very important factor in this fight. Luffy's easily above lightning speed, being able to grab lightning bolts right out of the sky, and he has a lot of arguments for being even faster than light. A lot of those are questionable in my opinion, but without getting too much into manga spoilers, let's just say Luffy can keep up with a confirmed lightspeed character in combat. Kenpachi has a lot less to go off in terms of speed. He failed to dodge the attacks from the lightning Stern Ritter Candace, though he was already severely wounded then. A fresh Kenpachi should have been able to react to her attacks like Ichigo, so maybe you could use that to argue him as being faster than lightning. There's also the databook statement that says Soul Society Ichigo's fast like lightning, and the Gin Mach 500 statement that could be used to argue current Kenpachi at vastly faster than lightning speeds. However, the databook statement was likely just a simile, and Gin later said he was lying about his Bankai speed, despite a databook confirming that speed to be true, so even those are questionable. There are some light speed arguments for Bleach, but I don't think any of them are very good. Even if we argue both Kenpachi and Luffy scale to light speed, Luffy has observation haki that allows him to not only sense danger, but even see into the future. Due to that, I have to give Luffy the speed edge. Luffy's observation haki could also arguably allow him to see, or at least react to Kenpachi, if you want to go the Luffy can't see a Soul Reaper route. Kenpachi's massive amount of spirit energy might put Luffy in danger of being soul crushed, but I think it's fair to say Luffy's haki could possibly protect him from that. So who wins this fight? Honestly, I think there are way too many unknown factors to say for certain, but based off just the things we know for sure, I have to give this battle to Luffy. His speed arguments are just way more solid, and if Kenpachi can't tag Luffy, he's gonna eventually lose. Kenpachi's already shown he can't take that much punishment before even fodder characters can start to kick his ass. So I have no doubt if Luffy pelts him with dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of internal haki strikes, Kenpachi will eventually wear down. It's possible one well-placed chop from Kenpachi could kill Luffy, and Luffy's fighting style in Gear 5 did tend to allow him to get hit a lot, but with his future sight, Luffy should see he can't take that fighting style with Kenpachi. Unless Luffy can just turn Kenpachi's sword to rubber and render its cutting power ineffective. I still haven't talked about Kenpachi's power without his eye patch or with his Bankai, but honestly I don't think those change anything. It would further solidify Kenpachi's power advantage over Luffy, but until we can quantify Kenpachi's speed, we can't use the power multipliers to quantify Kenpachi becoming fast enough to deal with Luffy. I don't want to get into spoilers, so I'll just say I don't see Bankai Kenpachi dealing well in a prolonged fight against a target he can't tag. Maybe his spirit energy would become high enough to where Luffy would be so oppressed by it he wouldn't be able to properly dodge, but there's no way to prove that. So Kenpachi has failed to prove he's the strongest Soul Reaper. But maybe there'll be a rematch between the true strongest Soul Reaper versus the future King of the Pirates.